Today, I'm going to take on a mammoth of a challenge. Because one of the biggest clubs in France, Bordeaux, have been really struggling financially since COVID. And after a relegation 2 seasons ago, it's gotten a lot worse. And in July, Bordeaux have had to give up their professional status as a football club. Meaning they have actually been automatically relegated again and cancelled every contract at the club, including all the players. And at the time of recording this, nobody really knows what is going to happen to Bordeaux. So my friend FC Trek sent me his database he's using and that he created to have a crack at a rebuild. A database where Bordeaux have 0 players to begin with, and also no staff whatsoever at the club. And because we still don't know what is going to happen with Bordeaux, whether they can even compete this season, we've actually relegated them down another tier into the 4th tier of French football. With no players, no staff, this is going to be an incredibly difficult challenge. And Bordeaux have a huge history with the French League title, winning it 6 times, and as recent as 2009. So my main challenge today is to win that league title once again with Bordeaux within 10 seasons. I just need some players now. Can you? Do you know how to play football? Now, although every player when you start doesn't exist in the game, it just gives you lots of random but terrible youth players to fill the squad. However, Bordeaux still have some clauses in the transfer section that you can cash in on that are still valid to give you somewhat of a budget at the start to sign players. The first thing I do want to do, however, is bring in some staff, so at least I know who is a realistic signing. Now, I know the biggest question is always going to be, how do you get your hands on the database? What I'll do is I'll leave a link at the top of the description to FC Trek's video, who provided the database. You can watch the video because he's doing the same challenge, a lot more detailed challenge than what I'm going to be compacting it into one video, so you might enjoy it as well. In that video, he can tell you exactly how to get your hands on this database. But anyway, whilst I was waffling, I managed to sign my first player, and it's a striker from the Ivory Coast. And I eventually signed a new goalkeeper as well, and a 35-year-old striker, as more players began to flood in. So by the time we got to our first game, I had 5 real players surrounded by horrendously greyed out players and rocking a defensive 4-4-2. And in a very even game against our opponents, we managed to come away with a win and 3 points, thanks to 2 very good finishes from our 35-year-old striker, who was absolutely clinical. Eventually, we signed a good amount of players with that, and we could even see some recognizable names in world football, especially if you played Football Manager all your life like me. However, I still failed to bring in enough defenders, as there was very little around that would accept the contracts we were offering. Results, though, were looking really strong so far, with 3 wins and a draw. So let's see if we can gain promotion to the 3rd tier here in season number 1 at Bordeaux. Well, it's promotion in the first season. We only play 30 games, so there's only 16 teams in the league, but we win. And we actually drawn 12 games in total, which, yeah, that's the joint highest amount with a team that's close to relegation, because we only lost 3 games, winning 15, which is actually less than the team below us. So we managed to scrape through. We had 57 points, a great goal difference, though, 1 point above the team that finished in 2nd place, and they all go into a playoff. So we're actually quite lucky that we managed to avoid the playoff. Now, goal scorer-wise, we had Yatara, who was a top scorer. Didn't expect that. I thought it would be the 35-year-old. Mané Paquette did manage to hit quite a lot of player of the matches. That's fantastic. In competitions, we were knocked out the 3rd round of the Coupe de France. That is a priority for later on. That's a great start, and as you can see here, we already have a lot of players leaving the club, so we're going to have to start replenishing that. And it looks like we've actually lost a couple of players in the time that we have been gone as well. I mean, we've got 16 goals there from Yatara. Kuaku was our first signing, managed to get 13, but yeah, we're losing players already because they're not on like professional contracts. They're on, some of them are on really low wages, some of them were actually paying a lot more than what I thought we would be paying, but because of those clauses, we were able to do so. So it's about planning for the 3rd tier now, which I do believe is what Bordeaux are supposed to be going into. Again, at the time of recording, still don't know whether they'll be able to fulfill the fixtures, so good luck to them. But we're going into it in season number 2. They've actually given us a huge budget, which I'm surprised with, but it's Football Manager. We can't really do too much about it. They got 3 million in the bank, and somehow we got 4 million in the transfer budget. So I don't think I'll be spending 4 million. And no, I didn't spend 4 million. But as soon as the season ended, I was right back into the transfer market, though, and signed one of my all-time favorite FM players, Kevin Gamiro, who through in FM12, was an absolute monster of a striker. I also managed to sign Steven Nzonzi, who is at the very end of his career now, but his last challenge is to revive Bordeaux with me. I was even brave enough to go and sign a couple of players for some transfer budget, including Mukhtar Diallo from Senegal. The 20-year-old striker has everything to score goals in this division and might be someone to carry us up through the leagues. And boy was I right, as he was on fire linking up with the team at the start of the season, and his strike partner Gamiro scoring lots of goals. Mukhtar Diallo got himself a hat-trick against Lorient's second team, who was actually playing Junior Krupi, who scored in the game too. You might have also noticed we signed Victor Moses, another veteran of the game that I signed as he left his last club 2 seasons ago. I also decided to switch up my tactic and go 3 up top to accommodate my new strike force, and once again I was confident. And so with Diallo firing on all cylinders, let's see how we do in season number 2 in the 3rd tier of French football. Well, it's back-to-back promotions, and again it's close at the top. 91 points. We played a full 38-game season here to Orleans 86 points, so I think they do again go in the playoff. But Mukhtar Diallo, I knew this man would be special. 32 goals, and already he's, as you can see, gone up in value compared to what we paid for him, and that's the reason why I didn't splash millions, but I did spend just a little bit. I was finding these players and I thought, well, if I could buy them for 150k, he's going to go up in value either way and we could make a profit. So I think keeping him another season at least to try and carry us into the top division might be wise, and then maybe cash in, but we'll see. But let's have a look more into the league table here. So there's actually 4 teams that's been promoted. So Nims actually went up in a playoff situation, and it looks like Dion and Orleans came up with us. A lot of teams get relegated, so I was happy just to be completely out of that picture. But we only lost 5 games, and this time only drawn 4, so we actually won a lot more of the games. I guess the tactic helped us towards that. Diallo got 32 goals in the league alone, but Victor Moses had the highest average rating, so I'm absolutely buzzing with that. In the cup, 4th round by Stade Maillé, I've never heard of them. They seem to be in the division below us, so that's not fantastic, but you don't really get that much money in the Coupe de France. I'm just more worried about getting us up before we end up spending too much money on player wages, etc. Because, I mean, Mukhtar's up to 4k nearly, and that's too much for my liking down in this league, but there we go. Yatara got 20 goals and 13 assists. That's phenomenal considering we signed him last season. That was actually our first sign. No, that wasn't our first signing, but he was one of them. Kouakou was our first. He still played, still got 4 goals. Kevin Gamiro, he's retiring. I'm actually buzzing that he's retiring with me. Genuinely, in like that FM12 era when he was at PSG, I loved him. I used to sign him all the time. He was one of my favorite players in that game. So yeah, big up to Kevin Gamiro. Have a happy retirement, my friend, and thank you very much for helping us get promoted. Now we've got another £3.1 million. Probably won't spend that again, but I will maybe dabble into it. Most of my transfers were still free transfers, like Lucas Piazzon, who I remember well as a former Wonder Kid. And I also signed a Pokemon too, called Flammarion, which has obviously evolved early from an Eevee in his career, but I'm more of a Jolteon type of guy. I also noticed a couple of players in my youth academy who I'm up for giving minutes to this season, like this 17-year-old from Chad. And the transfer window was the same as the last 2 seasons for now, just focusing on a lot of free transfers. Nzonzi actually left the club after 1 year, and the odd deal in there came through for us going into season number 3. So we are sticking with the 3 up top for this division, and our new lineup still has half the squad from last season, although it seems the yellow cards and suspensions will be rough this year. Jesus. And we are playing against teams dropping down from the top flight, and we lose an early one against Brest. However, there are a lot of positives, winning 3 of our first 6 games, and hopefully that can continue and we stick around the promotion or playoff spots, especially because Diallo is still firing, getting 5 in his first 5 games. So let's see how we finish. 3rd season and 3rd promotion in a row, and we did struggle throughout the season as I was looking us going through, but we've managed to pinch that 2nd spot, just avoiding the playoffs there below us. We lost the last 2 games, which I was a little bit worried about. However, Clermont Foot destroyed us throughout this season, so they were very good. We finished in 2nd place. We go into the top division, and we don't have to worry about any more financial troubles as long as we just keep our heads and don't do anything silly. Mukhtar Diallo, though, what a man. At 22 years of age now, he scored 20 goals going into that top division. We've got the highest average rating player here, which is his strike partner, so he's done really well as well. Diallo and Corridor, who is a guy that I actually spent money on, has done the business in terms of man of the matches. So defensively, we were leaking a lot of goals, but with that tactic, we were bound to. We were just trying to score more than anybody else. We had a good goal difference, which obviously tells the tale that we did do that. The Cup was the 5th round this time by Amiens. Are they in our league? They are, but again, not worried about that now. That's something that we worry about that next season. As you can see, throughout the year, we did drop off a little bit around the middle period there, down into 8th place, which isn't in the playoffs either. But we picked ourselves back up again following a good run, going into 3rd, then up to 2nd. We actually crept into 1st at one point, but dropped off behind Clermont Foot. Now, goals-wise, there's no surprise that it is Diallo. However, I'm a little bit concerned. We went 3 up top, and the second top scorer, Eric Boldenser, has 9 in 8 games. So he must be, he was a guy that we actually signed in the January. So he's only played a certain amount of games, not compared to the other players that we have signed. I'm getting confused with all the names here. There's so many different names. But what I did manage to do throughout the year was I loaned a lot of youngsters that I looked at and thought, they look fantastic. So as you can see throughout the season, there's like rules where you can loan a lot of players when the transfer window's closed. I can't remember what the term is now, but we did really well in just filling out our squad with players that are slightly better than the ones that we already had at the club. And they played like 20 games and did really well for us. So outstanding in the end of the day. Good like year management of the team and the squad. Going into next year though, the money is not where it was. So we do have a couple of players already joining. Kasper Kozlowski is one of them, who's another former Wonder kid at 22. He's got no natural fitness though. That's probably the reason why he's dropped off so much. But yeah, there's more guys coming in, but we are now already in the red. So we were very lucky to get promoted this season. We need to make sure we just keep at it. Keep at it to the point where we can bring in enough players to eventually rise to the top. Fellas, it's much easier when your grooming routine is a one and done deal. But the days of using the same trimmer for your face as the one you use for your balls are gone. And that is thanks to my friends at Manscaped. Because they've come up with the ultimate package with the Beard and Balls bundle, featuring the new Lawnmower 5.0 and the Beard Hedger trimmer. And your football manager, Daddy Omega Luke, has 20% off when you go to manscaped.com, plus free shipping, and use code OMEGA at the checkout. So stop wasting your time and pick up the Beard and Ball bundle. And when it arrives, you can trim your face and your neck using the Beard Hedger, and with just that one guard that can cut 20 different lengths with a twist of a zoom wheel. From a smooth to the skin, all the way to the lumberjack look. And then there's the Lawnmower 5.0. Again, it has skin-safe technology and an interchangeable guard with the new foil blade head to go as short to the skin as you like for that precise trim. And both of these trimmers are waterproof, so you can use it in the shower. And I use both of these trimmers on a weekly basis, and I can tell you one thing, I will not change from doing that. That's why we have worked with Manscaped for the last couple of years now, because I am over the moon with the products that they provide, and I genuinely use them on a weekly basis. And remember, you can get your hands on all of the equipment on manscaped.com. If you go to the link down below and use code OMEGA at checkout, you get 20% off and free shipping, plus you support the channel. So go treat yourself and go treat your balls. The lack of money meant we could barely sign anyone outside of the free transfers we've already agreed to bring in, with the only other sign-in being a loan deal for Henderson Hall from Manchester City, who is a real tricky and pacey winger. And our first game of the season was entertaining to say the least, as we scored 4 goals but conceded 6. And that was with the 3-striker formation. From that, we went from 10 goals in a match to just 1 in the following against Toulouse, but we got lucky and it was us who scored that 1 goal. And it's actually been a good start from us, considering we've just been promoted and we've had no real additions to the squad outside of the 3 free transfers and a loan. And Bodenser is scoring a lot of goals too, with 4, so we have 2 strikers firing. After the first game of the season, I was actually considering changing back to the 4-4-2 we used to use, but the following results made me stick with a 3 up top. And Diallo doesn't really get into our best 11 here, but I'm sure he will still feature. We might have started well, however, the only goal for season number 4 is to survive. That's all we need to do. Oh, it looks a lot worse than what it actually is. We finished in 15th place, which is a point above, well, the place above relegation. Saint Etienne actually went down there, 15th spot, but with 31 points to 24. So we were actually 7 points clear, and we only dropped into 15th from 14th on the final game of the season. Looks like we had a very bad run towards the end of the campaign, but probably because we've already survived, but we'll have to have a look. But yeah, I mean, minus 38 goal difference tells me we are conceding way too many, and we don't quite have the strike force in this division to manage to kind of alleviate all of that like we have been doing, where we've just been like kind of waltzing through. PSG are dominating, and we know PSG is going to be our main target for trying to win this league, because it's PSG. They have unlimited money usually, and when you are actually in that league, they tend to do even better than what they usually would. So other competitions, we finished in the 8th round by Troyes. We were knocked out of, so again, cups, I know we're in the top division, still we're not too worried about it. It's good to see though that Diallo was a top scorer. What a signing this was when you think about it. For 150k, how many goals he's consistently scored for us. So you can see here our league position from where we left, where we were about 5th and 7th place. We slowly crept down to the point where even in 17th place, which is 2nd from bottom, so we had a very bad run, and we kind of just stayed safe after that. So it'd be interesting to see, oh my god, look at the bad run that we had. As soon as we started simulating the season from September onwards, we didn't win a game up until November against Saint Etienne, who we know also got relegated. It's good, also nice to see that Lakin scoring goals. Obviously, the player that we highlighted last season from our youth academy has done quite well. I mean, in the second side, he was getting 28 and 28. It's the reason why I wanted to give him some game time. But yeah, we had a bad run there. Again, we had a bad run. It's nice to see we beat Rennes, because we hate Rennes, and then that's great. Nice little area here in January, but then it got worse again. We got 4 wins at the back end of the season, no draws, and just lost a lot of games. PSG battered us 4-0 at home. The end, obviously we lost to Rennes there, which isn't great, but the end was where we actually survived after these 2 fixtures here. We lost the last 3. It kind of didn't matter. The money situation, though, we're still bad. Minus 6 million. We still got 6 million debt. Our net debt in the transfer is 13 million. I don't know how that's happened. We barely signed anybody. But this isn't looking great. And our transfer budget for next season is already with a minus wage budget, which means we literally have nothing. So it's gonna be a fun summer. I think we might have to switch back to our more defensive 4-4-2 formation outside of this, because Kozlowski's a great centre midfielder, and you can put these as inverted wing backs all you like. You're going to concede so many goals. So maybe let's go back to this and just keep this one around for later on. I decided to sacrifice one of our strikers because of this tactical switch too, to give us a bit of cash, selling Corridor for £1.7 million. And that allowed us to be able to afford 2 loan deals and 1 transfer in Harrison Parker, who is a centre-back that comes straight in from Manchester City into our first team for 600k. Straight away, the switching back to the 4-4-2 already played a big effect on us defensively, knowing that we were capable of scoring the odd goal. And as you can see, we won the first game 1-0, lost the next 2 against 2 tough oppositions, including PSG, and followed that with 2 more 1-0 wins. So defensively, we are looking great. So again, in Season 5, our goal is just to survive while we look at ways of financially making ourselves more competitive. See, this is a lot better. 11th place, we can be really happy with that. We are away from the riffraff down the bottom. And to be honest, I think we're at like similar points to what we were last season. 31 points. We had 6 more points, 2 more wins, but we're like comfortably away. 10 points clear of Montpellier, who got relegated this season. We're actually close to the teams that I thought we'd be struggling against. So, I mean, we're not that far off. Actually, we are quite far off some European spots. So for now, that's a good step that we've got, but now we need to build on that, and it's just a case of how, really, more than actually doing so. It looks like Marseille have had a cracking season. They got Mitrovic, they've got a lot of players in there who are getting high average ratings, but they've only finished in 4th place. So PSG winning the league again with 3 losses in total, 83 points, only by 2 points, mind. In the cup competition, we were in the 6th round by Strasbourg. They seem to be a bit of a bogey side for us. We have 3 top scorers with 8 goals, Mukhtar Diallo being one of them. Is it time to maybe think about cashing in on Diallo, or maybe give him like a bigger contract so his value goes up? See what happens with that, really. There's no interest in there just yet. I mean, squad-wise, like 8 goals from our 3 top scorers is really poor, isn't it, across the season? But, I mean, we survived. I said defensively we need to be better, and that's exactly what we did. Our viewers conceded. We're not even on there defensively, or clean sheets. We're down in 8th place, but I'll still take it because we're not scoring the most goals. We're just quietly going about our business. It's what I'm happy with. Now, financially, the debt, or the amount of money that we were in the red, has gone down. And we have, a little bit of a budget, but it's not going to bring in anybody. Like 3.9k, that's like a 1 player, I think, in terms of like who we could bring in on a free transfer. So we probably have to sell somebody again if we want to make a signing or 2, or loan somebody for free that somebody's willing to give us, because that's all I've been really able to do. We managed to get another player in here, which was Salamanca, who we brought in throughout the season, but he's nowhere near like amazing, is he? Like, that was just a free transfer. I mean, he's on peanuts wages compared to some of the players. So same again next year in season number 6. Maybe we really need to think about selling one of our big boys to try and bring in a couple of really cheap signings that, again, we can then sell in a couple of years' time, because we really need to push for that season 9 and 10 if we want to win the league. This summer has seen a lot of players leave the club, meaning that our wage bill plummeted, allowing us to bring in some upgrades. And I took some gambles using transfer installments on players that I knew we could profit from, or they will carry us up the league, like Jose Salazar, who's a fantastic 18-year-old centre-back that my scouts found from Chile for a total of 700k. I also spent just 300k up front on Andrade, who's an excellent Colombian striker with some outrageous physicals. Again, he's just 18 years old, but the total signing amounts to £1 million with installments. And it takes our transfer debt up a bit, but I think it will definitely be worth it in the long run. After that, we resorted to some cheap loan deals for players to add to our additional squad. But Andrade and Salazar have and will continue to make an instant impact into our squad as we drive through season number 6. Although it has been a tough start, so hopefully that's not a sign of things to come. Not to mention, we have another unbelievable player come through our youth academy that I've given minutes to, and in one game he's gotten himself assist. And it was a quality assist too for Andrade to score. More of that, please, as we go through season number 6. This is a step backwards that I really thought we wouldn't take after the signings that we made, but we're down in 14th place, and we kind of only just scraped through 4 points away from that relegation zone. That seems like a backward step, and I'm really disappointed because I really thought we were going to start progressing, hit that middle of the table, but PSG, once again, 10 points clear. Oh, it's going to become very difficult. I don't quite know what we're going to do now. In the cup competition, again, it was only the 7th round, but we were beaten by, a team in the league below us, Auxerre, so we should be beating them. But again, it's one of those things, I'd rather us pile up the league table than win the Coupe de France at this point. So, I mean, transfer budget 848k. We've got a couple of loans, a couple of free transfers coming in already, but the money's just not there. The money is just not. I know I'm shooting myself in the foot because we've signed a couple of players for some transfer installments and stuff, but the players that we got coming in look quite good, so I am happy with that. And we got another one here. He's contemplating whether he will join us. Good centre back, a good experienced centre back. So finances are 6 million again. The debt's and loan. The transfer debt is obviously coming down a little bit, but the net debt is 13 million now, so that's actually gone up a little bit. Goals-wise, I thought we'd score a lot more. Now, Gonzalo Andrade only got 9 throughout the whole season. However, there is a lot of development, a lot of growth there, so I'm pleased with that. We need some more goals somewhere. We definitely need some more goals somewhere. Jose Salazar's become like pretty much our best player now after just that one season. Again, a lot of growth. That was, to me, that was like a well-educated gamble, because their values now are really high to the point where even if I was like, right, let's just sell them immediately, I could probably get like 10 million minimum for somebody who I only spent 700k for. And Gonzalo Andrade, maybe even more, because he's a 19-year-old striker with some really good physicals, both feet, and good player traits. So that was my thinking with those two. So I'm thinking now we just cut our losses with the money that we haven't got and just build them to the point where their value goes up and we can sell them for a huge profit, maybe in a couple of years' time. That's when, in season number 9 and 10, we can really go for it, because we've only got 4 years left. Summer number 7 was full of replacing players who left with free transfers that I could find. Like this guy who could be amazing in the future with some game time that I picked up on a free transfer from Spain. There's more coming in that are just squad players. However, there are 2 more free transfers that I made that I want to start every single game. And they are going straight into a tactical switch as we go back to the 3-striker formation. At right back, we've got a Croatian right back who was out of contract and could be a talented inverted wing back considering he's left-footed. And then at right centre back, we have Emin Yildirim, who's French and has everything about him to be a quality centre back in the future. He just needs the game time. Results here have been going well for us with 3 wins from our first 4 matches, and Mukhtar Diallo is still knocking around and scoring 4 goals in 4 games. But we have just 4 seasons left to win the league title, so we need to see some progress in season number 7. Now this is much more like it. I am so happy that we've seen this development and growth. 6th place finish, that's probably European football too. It is Europa Conference League. That is insane. So 59 points in total. That's great. We are still some way off top of the league, which is our ultimate goal, but they are getting better by the looks of it because they've won 30 out of 34 games, but in 6th place, we need to focus on where we are right now. That's phenomenal. Mukhtar Diallo seems to be scoring a lot of goals again. 20 he's got this season, which is fantastic. Look at that. He's wanted as well, by the way. And up to nearly £20 million. That's the highest that we've seen his value from clubs from like the Saudi area. So maybe we can sponge a bit of a transfer out of that and cash in while we can. Because Mukhtar Diallo, yes, he's been fantastic. But is he a guy that's going to win us the league? Probably not. Andrade, possibly. In the cup, though, 6th round by Amiens. We just need to ignore the cup, I think. Mukhtar Diallo did get 20 goals. Now, Andrade was unhappy throughout the season, and he does kind of want to move to a stronger club, which shows that he is developing and has the potential and ambition to be a world-class player. I want him to be a world-class player at Bordeaux, though, because we have found an absolute baller there. We've also got a bit of a baller from our youth academy. He's been fantastic, has Mba, and I've made sure I give him under-19s games as well, because he's not exactly getting first-team football with us just yet. He's got 19 appearances in total this season, 5 from the starting position, and he still did very well for us. But youth academy wise, 40 appearances, 46 goals, 22 assists. This guy is insane. So yeah, I mean, he's done really well. The players that we locked in throughout the season have done good too. Jose Salazar being a highlight, a great defender now, position wise, phenomenal stuff. So we really need to focus on those guys there, the development that we're getting from there. I've been loaning some players throughout the season, as you can see here. There's a couple of players that I didn't really show you at the start. They come in throughout the season. And transfer budget, we've actually got one. 3 million transfer budget with a bit of a wage. So we'll probably have to look more around about the £2 million mark. But do we sell Mukhtar Diallo? That's the question. Because we cash in on him now, we still get 100% of the transfer revenue because we're actually... overall balance is high compared to what it was anyway. You can see it's the first time that we've actually got a bit of a peak there above the reds that we've been focusing on. So yeah, do we really go for it now? The debts have gone up, but we got European football. We could push for this and maybe try and result our way out of the debt by just winning stuff. That's our hope anyway. It was definitely the right time. Mukhtar Diallo has left the club after 6 phenomenal years for us, and we made a huge profit selling him for 14.75 million. I think outside of like developing youngsters, which to be fair we still did with him, finding little hidden gems like Mukhtar Diallo is just one of my favorite things to do on Football Manager. 150k, selling him 6 years later for 15 million after he carried us up through the leagues. That is absolutely special. I love doing that. Maybe you can find him on your save. And if you haven't done so yet, you've got this far. We're in season number 8 now, and you still haven't pressed the subscribe button. You must be enjoying yourself. Press it now, because we're en route to 150k, and I really hope that you can help us get there. But I'll tell you somebody who would subscribe to the channel is Mukhtar Diallo. So if ever in life and you think, what would Mukhtar Diallo do? He would probably subscribe. The money from Diallo, though, allowed me to sign some quality talents that can help us stay near the top of the league. Although I might have got excited and signed 2 left-backs, as they were both really good and really cheap. An Italian winger is another player we spent a couple of million on from Sassuolo. And we brought in a new #1 goalkeeper to the club, who we only spent £1.3 million from Sundowns in South Africa. I didn't go too mental with the money, and I still focused on the main type of transfer. free transfers, bringing in some first-team talents that weren't getting love that we will show them this season. Because this team is now stacked full of quality players, and our strike force looks deadly despite the loss of Diallo. We should definitely score goals with these boys. It's also nice, by the way, that Mukhtar Diallo joins names like Zinedine Zidane and Lizarazu as icons of Bordeaux, which, funny enough, is higher than what I am right now. But I'm not here for the individual accolades. I'm here to make Bordeaux the best team in France once again. Season number 8 ends with us being closer than ever. I mean, we're still 18 points behind PSG, but we're in 3rd place, and that also means Champions League football next season. You'll love to see that. Again, we're kind of in like a league of our own. We're the top of like the best of the rest, I guess, because Monaco are somewhere above us with 8 points more, but we're higher than Lens, we're higher than Marseille, we've dropped down Lille, who were like 2nd a couple of seasons ago. This is phenomenal stuff. Now, only losing 8 games. We lost both our games, unfortunately, to PSG. We're not quite where I'd like us to be yet, but we've got 2 seasons left to do some damage. Andrade is actually up there with the top scorers. He's got 19. The growth has been insane. He's still unhappy. He still wants to leave, but I mean, Bayern Munich, 77 million. Might be tough to turn down for that. 19 league goals this season, which is fantastic, with 8 assists, considering we are playing the 3-striker formation as well, so that's great. But we have European football. How did we do? Well, we got knocked out in the semi-final of the Europa League. Now, we were in the Europa League because of the cup winners from last season, which meant that we didn't have to go into the Europa Conference League. That went to position below us. We played 8 games in the league phase, only losing to Atalanta and Dinamo Kiev. We drew the Feyenoord. We won 5 games. The 5 games that really you'd expect us to win, which meant we went straight into the round of 16, knocking out Feyenoord again. So we drew against them in the league and in the round of 16. We knocked them out 5-4 on aggregate. The quarter-final, we then beat Atalanta, the team that beat us in the league phase. So we're getting our comeback here. Getting a bit of our own back on the teams that beat us. But then semi-final, we come up against Newcastle. And unfortunately, they were way too strong for us, 6-4 on aggregate. They went on to face Tottenham in the final, an all-English final, and Tottenham won that. My dad enjoys. So in the cup game, quarter-final against Lens, that's also the furthest that we've managed to get in that competition. This season has been a breakout season for us. In terms of goals, you can see that as well. Payet even played quite a lot of games off the bench and even starting and got 19 goals. Kveskovic actually got 12 as well. Mba only got 11, but he's playing a lot of youth football at the same time. Maybe I should take him off that, but I'm enjoying seeing him score 81 goals in 44 appearances for the youth team with 22 assists, which is, that's outrageous, right? You just don't really seem to be doing it when I actually play him, but the growth has definitely been there. I'm really enjoying the growth, especially the likes of Yildirim. He's come into his own this season. Lakin is still around, and he's still getting game time at right midfield, so, you know, there's still players there. Salazar is also looking to leave. He's also worth a lot of money. It could be 2 players that we cash in on, and you just never know. But even the likes of Balumi, who came in on a free transfer this season, had a really good season for us, and in total got 18 assists across the whole season, which, you know, you cannot be grumbled about. That is unbelievable. I think we bought too many left backs, and we're not playing the one that I really wish that we did play as much. Maybe that's something I need to address in the summer, but we haven't got any money still. Despite having a great league campaign, a great Europa League campaign, we might have to cash in on a player or 2. I hope not, but we might have to. Might be forced into doing that into season number 9. Well, it's 2 seasons in a row that we sell our best striker in the summer, with Andrade leaving to go to Bayern Munich for 70 million. But I was more than happy to do so because I found a player who I think is better in Mubarak from Qatar for just 10 million. I also have my eye on this CDM for a few seasons now, and the selling of Andrade means we can finally afford him for 8 million. And there was more signings coming through the door that instantly improve our team, including a few more free transfers of players that you've probably heard of as well. So the squad depth is becoming massive. Sticking with the 3-striker formation, we have ties still to our youth academy, with Mba getting first team minutes, and the depth means we now have a fantastic replacement in every position if we are struggling, what we didn't do before. Not to mention, our finances are now looking much more healthier, with £45 million in the bank. So a step up on the pitch is needed in season number 9 with just 2 years left. However, this is a disappointing sight to see. We've dropped down to 5th place, and what makes it worse is Lens have won the league. PSG had a bad season. 77 points for them is poor, especially because they've drawn so many games. We didn't manage to beat them. We actually lost, I think, one of the first games of the season to them 3-0. We've dropped down to 5th. It still means Europa League football, but maybe we were too busy focusing on the Champions League and kind of got a bit distracted. Last season, we had 64 points. This season, we still have 70. So it's still progress. It's just every other team has also gained progress because of PSG not doing as well. I mean, Lens fully deserved their league win. I mean, we were one of the teams who beat them, but that's really, really good from them. It's the first time that PSG haven't won the league, I believe, since we started this. And annoyingly, it's not Bordeaux who have managed to win it. So that's disappointing. However, in the competitions, we got to the quarterfinals of the Coupe de France. Strasbourg again, who's been a bit of our bogey side. The league phase the Champions League. We were literally just one position away, and we had a bad time really because we drew so many. We lost to Bayern Munich, which we're gonna have to check to see whether Andrade scored. We also lost to Inter. 5 draws is what's cost us. Lens, Olympiacos in there, which is like, oh come on. And we only won 1 game, which was against Molde. So I really am disappointed we couldn't even get through to the knockout stage. But if you look at the Champions League, the game that we faced Bayern Munich in, he didn't score, fortunately for us. It was only a 3-2 loss. Did he play? I mean, it seems weird that they bought him for so much money and then he doesn't play. He doesn't look like he has. I mean, they've got a different striker called Jose Alonso up front. He wasn't even on the bench. I mean, he's better than that striker, I think. Maybe he was injured for that game. Oh, he scored 21 goals for them. He was their second top scorer in the league, in the whole competition. It's sad to see him go, but I do think Mubarak is actually a better striker in the long run. But let's see how he actually did. So he wasn't even our top scorer. He only got 13. For a 20-year-old, that's not bad. I mean, the development is not quite as much as what I'd hoped. Just looked fantastic though, doesn't he? As I was pressing forward, he's unbelievable. Kovacevic is actually our top scorer, is a free transfer. So that just tells you everything. 18 goals. We did lack goals this season. Abel Ruiz in the side at 32 is maybe a problem. Enzo Sternau did quite well off the bench. Imbad didn't do as well as what I'd hoped. Is he still playing for the under-19s? He scored so many goals for under-19s. Yildirim, though. The development on Yildirim has been phenomenal. So that's good to see. Salazar is still at the club as well, but he is slowed down in terms of his development, which is worrying in a way, but hey, they sometimes have a ceiling, don't they? And you can never really get over it. Malerba is the signing I really wanted to make last season. He's been good for us. What about next season, though? We've only got 4 million, which is a little bit disappointing. Our finances have dipped down a little bit. I guess because we didn't really get far in the Champions League. The transfer debt's almost gone, but the debts are still there. I was really hoping that they could just back us, like 15, 20 million. Just give us that. Get one player in and really go for it in Season 10. Okay, I'll see what I can do. Final season, and I was really hoping for a quiet window, just adding a couple of names, but then Bayern Munich activated our goalkeeper's release clause on deadline day, not allowing us enough time for a replacement. No! Meaning that our goalkeeper is less than ideal in terms of quality, but it is what it is. It did mean I could take my time with a replacement, and I found an incredible goalkeeper in Colombia for just £1.8 million who joined us in January. And not to alarm you all, but at this point, we are currently top of the league, with PSG 3 points behind us, and Enzo Sternau is banging in the goals. We also smashed through the Europa League, winning 8 games out of 8. Can we stay at the top of the league though and capitalise on our great start to win the French league title, or will we crumble? Well, with a late loss in the lead to PSG, it made things very interesting, as it means we go just a point ahead with 2 games left of Lens in second place, and it goes down to the wire. We managed to salvage a 5-0 win against Brest, which means it goes to the final game of the season, where we will have to travel to Lille. However, Lens have an even worse fixture, away to PSG, who will win the league. Well, on the final day, we managed to win 3-2. So whatever the result is in the PSG game, it doesn't matter. And in fact, Lens lost 3-0 to PSG, which means we would have won even if we lost that final game. But somehow we have done it. Bordeaux are the champions of France, which was what we set out to do in year 1. However, when it got to like year 6 and 7, I thought would become kind of impossible. But we've powered through. Sternau was amazing in this final year. We've got some cracking players, and of course, there's lots of money now in the transfer budget. But still, we've managed to do it. The finances are looking very healthy too. If anybody wants to take this save game file over, I'll be putting it up on Patreon and on the channel membership page for you to have a go at, because there's some quality players in here that you might enjoy using, including obviously our youth player that's come through. And it'd be quite interesting to see how far you can take this team. Could you go on and win the Champions League, which, by the way, in the Europa League, we got to the semi-final before losing to Cologne, unfortunately. We still never even won the Coupe de France. The French league title is the only trophy we managed to win in this whole competition in this 10 years. But what a 10 years it was. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Smash that subscribe button if you haven't done so. We are getting very close to 150k and you can help us get there. But why not check out this video next, because my dad took on the Youth to Go challenge, where you're only allowed to sign teenagers and you're not allowed to use players 30 years or above, which goes against everything he ever does in Football Manager. Go watch it right now.